under the glaring lights of an electrified stadium, with a sea of roaring spectators filling the air with deafening anticipation. Two of the most formidable martial artists of their time stepped onto the canvas. It was a battle that had been brewing in the imaginations of fight fans for years. A dream match that seemed almost too good to be true. On one side stood Brandon Bruce Lee, a warrior born from the legendary lineage of Bruce Lee himself, carrying the philosophy and combat precision of his father into the modern fight scene. On the other side was Marko Zaror, a Chilean powerhouse whose speed, agility, and raw athleticism had earned him a reputation as one of the deadliest fighters in the world. The world held its breath. This was a clash between two titans, where speed met power, technique met brute force, and legend met reality. Brandon Lee was more than just a name. He had inherited the disciplined training of Jeet Kune Do, the martial philosophy created by his father, Bruce Lee. His style revolved around fluidity, adaptability, and, most importantly, speed. He was like a whispering shadow, weaving through opponents' attacks with an uncanny ability to predict their movements before they even struck. His hands moved like lightning, and his kicks struck with surgical precision, leaving his adversaries stunned before they even realized they had been hit. Brandon's speed was nearly supernatural. He could close the distance in the blink of an eye and launch a flurry of attacks before his opponent could react. Jeet Kune Do emphasized adaptability, making him one of the most difficult fighters to anticipate. Years of rigorous training had gifted Brandon with unmatched stamina, allowing him to outlast most of his opponents in long, grueling battles. His precision in striking was razor-sharp, allowing him to maximize damage with minimal effort. While Brandon was fast, he wasn't the strongest fighter. He lacked the sheer brute force that some of his opponents possessed. His greatest weakness was on the ground. Though proficient in escapes, he struggled against expert grapplers. His aggressive style sometimes left him open to counterattacks. Standing across from Brandon was Marko Zaror, a behemoth of raw physicality and dynamic athleticism. Zera wasn't just strong. He was explosive, blending strength with agility in ways rarely seen in heavyweight fighters. A veteran in various martial arts disciplines, including taekwondo, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu, Zera was a force to be reckoned with. His signature kicks could send opponents flying, and his ability to absorb damage was almost inhuman. Zera's sheer power meant that every strike had the potential to knock out an opponent. Despite his size, he moved with an agility that defied expectations, executing spinning kicks and aerial maneuvers with terrifying precision. He could take hits that would crumble most fighters and still keep pressing forward. Zera had a solid grappling game, making him dangerous in close combat. While fast for his size, he was still slower than Brandon. His style, though powerful, followed a more traditional pattern, making it easier to counter. His explosive style meant he expended a lot of energy early on, leaving him vulnerable in extended fights. The opening bell rang, and the atmosphere exploded with energy. Brandon Lee wasted no time, darting forward with rapid footwork, his hands a blur as he tested Zera's defenses. Zera, in response, planted his feet and launched a devastating spinning back kick, a strike so fast and powerful that had it landed, it might have ended the fight instantly. But Brandon was prepared. He dodged at the last possible moment, countering with a sharp jab to Zera's ribcage before retreating to safety. For the first 2 rounds, the fight was a dazzling display of skill. Brandon moved like a phantom, his attacks relentless and unpredictable. Zera, despite his size, managed to land heavy blows whenever he cornered Brandon, sending shockwaves through the stadium with each strike. Every time Brandon got too close, Zera used his grappling skills to clinch, attempting to wear him down. By the 3rd round, it became clear that Zera's explosive power was beginning to wane. He had expended a significant amount of energy trying to land that one knockout strike. Meanwhile, Brandon remained as swift as ever, his endurance keeping him in peak condition. Sensing the shift in momentum, Brandon went on the offensive, unleashing a flurry of kicks and rapid strikes that began to overwhelm Zera. The Chilean warrior tried to keep up, but Brandon's precision was unmatched. He targeted Zera's legs, slowing him down further, and then delivered a crushing elbow strike that sent Zera stumbling backward. In the 4th round, the decisive moment arrived. As Zera prepared to launch another powerful spinning kick, Brandon read his movements perfectly. Before the kick could be executed, Brandon closed the distance with a sudden burst of speed, ducking under the attack and landing a brutal counterstrike, a spinning back fist that connected cleanly with Zera's jaw. The impact was thunderous. Zera's body staggered, his legs wobbling beneath him. Before he could recover, Brandon delivered a final, swift kick to the temple, sending Zera crashing to the mat. The referee stepped in. The fight was over. Brandon Bruce Lee had won. Brandon's victory wasn't just a matter of skill. It was a masterclass in strategy. He understood that Zerer's power, while overwhelming, came with a cost. By maintaining his speed, attacking strategically, and conserving his own energy while exhausting Zerer's, he was able to turn the fight in his favor. His adaptability proved to be the defining factor. Where Zera relied on explosive attacks, Brandon used intelligence, technique, and superior endurance to outmaneuver his opponent. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Brandon extended a hand to Zera, helping him to his feet in a show of respect. It was a battle worthy of legends, a fight that showcased the true artistry of martial combat. Brandon Bruce Lee had not only upheld his father's legacy but had also solidified his place as a legend in his own right.